So in this little video, what I want to do is go through your textbooks, how they work, because both of the texts, the primary text from OpenStax, U.S. History, and the secondary text, Howard Zinn's People's History of the United States, both of them are completely online. They work slightly differently because I've gotten them from two different sources, but I want to cover in detail how you get in, how the assignments work that are attached to them, how you get out, all that stuff, so that basically there'll be no question. So I want to start with the OpenStax textbook. That'll be the first one that we start with. This is your primary text, and it has a couple of little quirks that I want to make sure that we talk about, and so I want to demonstrate those. So we will start with just week one, which is where you should be going to start this during week one. Week one, the Gilded Age. So click on it, open it up. Your screen should look like this within Canvas. And you see there'll be several things, and almost all of the modules have these same pieces. There will be an overview and outcomes. It reviews what's going to be done that week, and then you'll see a chapter from the OpenStax book, and you'll see a chapter from the Zinn book. Some weeks have multiple chapters. Some of the blocks are 2 or 3 weeks. It varies throughout the course. Now, what may change between the time I'm recording this and the time that you see this is you'll see all these lectures down here. Gilded Age lecture 1, 2, 3, Freedom's Boundaries 1, 2, and 3. These are the in-class lectures. If this were a fully online class, which it might be at some point, if you're taking this as an online class, these are my lectures. This is what the lectures that I give in class. If this is a hybrid or a face-to-face class, the lectures are here for your review. If you miss a day, or if you're taking notes in class and you missed something, these are pretty close to what I actually do in class. So a lot of what you'll see in these is identical to what you would see in class. The PowerPoints are about the same. There may be some changes from semester to semester, but I don't change them that much. If I change them a lot, I'll re-record the lecture. But basically, this is a chance for you to get in and re-watch the lecture. I mean, if it's face-to-face, these are the lectures that I do in class, and you can review them here. The same for a hybrid class. If this was an online class, you would be required to watch these videos, and there would be additional assessments attached to them. And some of the stuff that's missing at the time I'm recording this, because I'm doing this before I've finished completely fleshing out the shell, some of the things that are missing here are some of the additional assignments. There'll be a few additional assignments added. But right now I'm just looking at the textbooks. So let's go into Chapter 18, Industrialization and the Rise of Big Business, and you click on it, and it opens up. So normally what I do when I do these is I right-click and say either open a new tab or open a new window. If I want to be able to jump back and forth, I will say open a new tab. If I say open a new window, then I can actually have two separate windows side by side. But if you open it into a tab in any browser, you can pull that tab off and have it as two separate. So I always open any of the links in here in a new tab. I would love to be able to fully integrate the textbook in, and I've done that with the Zinn textbook, but so far I haven't found out how to do that with the OpenStax, so we'll use the links to the textbook directly. And so in this case I would say open new tab, and after I click that, it takes a little while to load, but then it will run and it will load to in another tab. It will open up the actual textbook. Here, this is the beginning of Chapter 18, and you'll see this is the introduction. There's a brief summary. All of them start off with this, and you'll see the various topics. So there are 4 additional sections beside the introduction. And here we see the introduction, which is just very, very short. And this is where it gets a little funky. I'm going to move my recording window out of the way here. If you see down here, there's our back and next, and then go to the top. We'll come back to these 3 in a minute. You'll notice that there are 4 little tabs here. History isn't what you think it is. It is actually the history of the document, right? Documents get revised. These textbooks get revised on a very regular basis, and so you click on that. That'll tell you when the last revision was, and in fact, when all the revisions were made. The attribution really gives who are the authors and their qualifications and all of that. More information is really it's the ISBN number and other stuff about the actual publication. Downloads is one that you really can use on a regular basis, or you should use it sometime. And it provides you with either a download to a zip, which will open up an offline HTML. It will also, you can download it to an EPUB, so you can load it to your Kindle or to your iPad or any other reader, or you can load it as a PDF, which then you can read also on your Kindle or on your laptop or your phone or anything else. So you can get a physical electronic copy just by hitting these downloads. Let's take that away and let's scroll down a little bit here, and you'll see the three down here at the bottom. These are, again, 3 navigational tools that you need. If I wanted to go to chapter 17, I would click on back and it would take me to the section immediately preceding this. If I click back to the top, it'll take us up to the top of the page again. And if I click next, it will take me to the next part of the chapter. But once it does, then you will see the next section of the chapter. There's a little learning objectives here at the top, and then some pictures and some text, and you just read it like any other textbook. And it's simplified, so it'll work on your phone. There's no heavy setup or wrapping around photos or anything like that. It's just it is as simple a layout as it can get, so that you can actually use it for reading it on any device. Now, there'll be several places throughout the textbook where it has this click and explore feature. And for example, here it says, not all of Edison's ventures were successful. Read about Edison's folly to learn the story behind his greatest failure. And so throughout the text, there are these other little additional side readings that you can do at any time for more information. There's a section summary that talks about it, and then review questions. And so once you've read this little block of text, this is section 2, so 18.1. The first one was the introduction, so that was 18. Now we have 18.1, so this is the second section. And you read through it. If you want to read more, you can. There's several here. Here's the Library of Congress to look at the invention of the telephone, the controversy related to that. And here's some review questions. And you can look at the questions to see if you learned anything. You can check to see if you actually have the right answer. And you can just review for these questions. Again, you're only in section 18.1. Click the next button again. It will take a few minutes to load. And then you get to 18.2, set up exactly the same way again. And it expands the material in the next section of the chapter. Some sidebars, some nice pictures. Some of these you'll see in my lectures as we're going on. I use this picture. It'd be interesting for you to find out what it means. Here's a link to a PBS video that really does, in this case, looks at the as an example, whether you view industrial leaders of the late 19th century as robber barons or as industrial giants. How do you view them? That has a lot to do with your view of what America should be. And then a summary, and then, of course, again, some review questions. You can make sure you've got the key points. There's a glossary. I mean, it's just like a regular textbook, except it's all online. And then again, you would come down to here and you would click on next, go to the next section, and you would keep going through these sections, section by section, until such time as you have gotten all the way through chapter 18. Again, all the same types of pieces together, and then click on the next one. And you just keep going until you have completed 18. The reason I'm going through all of this is because I'm pretty sure that many of you will read the introduction, think you've read the entire chapter, and then go, I never read any of that stuff, man. So I'm going through all of this to show you that it isn't until you get to the next introduction, the next chapter. You need to read all of that for each of it. Then once you have finished the reading, you return to Canvas and simply click the reply button here and just click into here to reply and make a point. Maybe one thing you knew that you learned, maybe something that you saw and thought was probably something that was of interest, something new, something unique. maybe just explain your understanding of the material and type it in. If you're starting the threads, you might want to, get it up to about 100 words. And then your classmates will come in and respond to it, or they might start a new thread. If you came in here and there was already a thread that was interesting and you wanted to post to it, just simply post to it. That's really, I'm not going to add anything to this one because it's clean for your class when you come in. But this is how this will work, right? So you just come in and you need to post up to 3 postings, no less, a minimum of 3 postings in this discussion about that chapter. And it can be about anything in the chapter. I do this for 2 reasons. One, I want to see that you're actually understanding the material, and I think that reading it and commenting on it is the quickest way for me to make that assessment. Second, it's a good way for you to check against your peers to see that you understand it. You might have a very different understanding. You might have the right one. But this is a place where you guys can hash it out. You can go back and forth. If it gets too crazy, I can come in. I want you to remember courtesy, no name calling. You can argue with someone's point. You can even belittle their point, but you cannot belittle them. I'm completely content with you guys having disagreements and arguing, trying to come to, out of the clash of differing opinions, the truth shall be found. That's what I'm looking for. So don't be afraid if your understanding is different than your classmates. So that's how it works with the OpenStax textbook, the U.S. history textbook. So let's go back to our our Canvas course again. And you'll see that we have another chapter. There's also a chapter 20 here for politics in the Gilded Age. So there's 2 chapters here from the main text. I need to change that label so that they look more consistent. But here's so you would do exactly the same thing there. And then here is the first chapter that you're going to be required to read in Zinn's A People's History of the United States. And this, like I said, is a little bit different because I was able to actually embed the chapter text in here in Canvas. So we open that up, and you're going to panic when it first opens up because the entire chapter is on a single page. And so it looks like there's a lot here. Well, it's a book chapter. It's about 15 to 20. It's anywhere between 10 and 20 pages. It just looks daunting when it's on the screen here. Let me move this out of your way so you can see the actual text. But it's the same deal. So what I want you to do is read this chapter. And you can see it goes on and 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 on. And you get to the bottom, and guess what? It's the same thing, right? Finish reading, come here, click into the reply, or if there's already a discussion started, you can respond to it, and either respond to an existing thread, start a new thread, whichever you want to do as part of your stuff. Again, you have to have at least 3 entries. Hopefully, as the semester gets going, you're going to be more comfortable with each other, and you'll be able to post and discuss, and it will really help your understanding of what we're doing. So this is the bulk of the reading. Every week we'll have a similar set. There will always be at least 1 chapter from the OpenStax book, and most weeks have at least 1, sometimes 2, never more than 2 Zinn chapters, and then there will be other assignments in here as well. So I hope that helps. Let me know if it didn't. Let me know if it did. We'll talk more about it later.